Now being called difficult. And of course, there's her relationship with Alec Baldwin. She's Kim Basinger. And recently, Chief Correspondent Chris Wallace had the rare opportunity to spend some time with one of Hollywood's hottest leading ladies.
She is plain and simple a movie star, as well known for what she wears, who she's dating, for her off-screen battle with a major studio, as for any role she's played. And when you ask her about being a star, Kim Basinger treats it as a job.
Yeah, whatever that means to anybody, yeah, that's the job I do. I'm a movie star.
To tens of millions of people, she's Batman's girlfriend, Vicki Vale.
No can do. I got a date. Bruce Wayne.
Wayne, oh no!
To millions of others, she's the object of desire in a film that did its small part to melt the Cold War.
She's probably the most popular actress in all of Eastern Europe because of 9.5 weeks. I'm sure there were a lot of people who were very disappointed after the wall came down that, in fact, not all Western women looked like Kim Basinger.
She's never won or even been nominated for an Oscar, but she certainly was noticed at last year's Academy Awards. This year, she got much better reviews. Basinger certainly lives the role of a movie star, working out of her own production offices, complete with swimming pool and lavender grand piano. But for all the Hollywood trappings, we found a 37-year-old woman who was surprisingly honest about herself and her industry. How tough is it to be a woman star in Hollywood? Tougher, you think, than to be a male star?
Oh, please. It's a male world, you know. When it comes to this issue of money, and this is very important, so you can't just stand up and yell, we want more money. We want the money that Arnold makes, or Sly, or Bruce, or whatever. You can't. Because here it goes back to the word people. They make people movies.
What would you say to your fellow female stars?
They're stupid. That's what, they're stupid. They got to realize they got to make people movies. I mean, dress up, wear swords, and say charge. And you might be able to charge them a whole hell of a lot more money than you do.
Money is on Basinger's mind these days, because in addition to acting and launching a singing career, she has also become a serious businesswoman.
Well, when did it close down here?
With her brother Mick and Beverly Hills lawyer Alan Alexander, she's plotting development of Brazelton, Georgia, a small town she bought last year in a deal co-financed by a pension fund. Price tag, $20 million.
Georgia, Georgia.
A few weeks ago, we went with Basinger to her home state of Georgia to visit her town, a world away from the bright lights and sharp elbows of Hollywood. What's it mean to you to come back here and see the dogwoods blooming and going back to Brazelton?
This is peace to me. This is life. This is God. These are our open arms for me here.
The arms reach out to me.
Brazelton is an old cotton trading town of 500, run for more than a century by the Brazelton family. But with the town in serious decline, the family had been trying to sell for years. Other prospective buyers wanted to level the place.
I don't mean to sound like Mother Teresa, but in my heart, that's really why I got involved. I saw their plight. They didn't want to sell out and see their city become a landfill.
Landfill isn't what Basinger has in mind either. She talks about turning the fields into an artist colony with recording and film studios. The ghost of a town center would be filled with shops and tourists. The problem, as the Wall Street Journal reported in a recent article about the Basinger backlash, is it's mostly been talk, and people here are getting impatient. So, on the day we were with her, Basinger worked the local grade school like a politician on the stump.
Hi, you gonna shake my hand?
You played on Batman.
That's right, I sure did.
And meeting with the town's mayor, Henry Brazelton, she promised she won't be an absentee landlady.
And Kim, this is something we've been wanting to give you.
Oh, man.
And that's not only the key to the town, but it's also the key to our hearts, Kim.
Well, you have the key to my heart, too, man.
Thank you.
There is a certain irony to Basinger's buying a small Georgia town, because growing up 25 miles away in Athens, she couldn't wait to get out. The middle of 5 children, she was always intrigued by the outside world, taking refuge in her calendar.
I could not wait to get home in the afternoon and mark the next day off. My mother said to me one day, she said, "You're marking your whole life, your whole existence away. Why?" I said, "Because I can't wait to get out of prison."
Prison because Basinger was a painfully shy little girl, who was teased, of all things, about the way she looked.
And I was tall as a tree. I towered over everybody. Oh, yeah. Big lips. And towered over everybody. It was pretty hard.
You paint a pretty attractive picture here.
I'm telling you.
Basinger's father, Don, says his daughter isn't exaggerating.
They think they're little ugly ducklings, you know, when they're growing up. But Kim was a pudgy little girl, you know, had a little weight problem.
You say that you're a tall, big-lipped tree.
Uh-huh.
How did you end up doing beauty contests in Georgia?
To get out. My father made a bet with me because I sang this song over and over again, Wouldn't It Be Lovely? My father said, well, why don't you just enter this pageant and sing that song? I said, but what if I die? What if I get up there and die?
And what happened?
I won the contest. I won the pageant. That's the biggest accomplishment I've ever made in my whole life.
That you got through Wouldn't It Be Lovely?
And didn't die.
Having survived the beauty contest, Basinger did a shampoo ad with her mom, and by age 17 was off to New York to become a model. Skinny was out, All American was in, and Basinger flourished. By the mid-70s, she was on to Hollywood in a series of forgettable roles, including the lead in a made-for-TV movie called Katie, Portrait of a Centerfold. By the early 80s, with her career going nowhere, Basinger decided to do it for real, posing for Playboy over the objections of friends and family.
And what did it do for your career?
It was amazing. I had calls from people, all the names you know, and they would say, oh, is this Kim Basinger? Well, I saw you I think it was an issue of Vogue. I was coming back, and I said, on a plane, and I just wanted to see what you're, I said, really?
Basinger landed a big role in the James Bond movie Never Say Never Again, and she's never looked back. But the film that made her a star was 9.5 Weeks. A glossy tale of sexual obsession that has been called sadomasochism for the MTV generation. Basinger says the emotional intimacy of her role is the best work she's ever done.
You really have to be the highest you can be and the lowest you can be. And if any film did anything in that way for me, it was 9.5 Weeks.
In Playboy and in 9.5 Weeks, you really put yourself out there for the audience to see, both physically, but also emotionally.
Yep.
A lot of inside stuff.
Yep.
No inhibitions about doing that?
Not at all. Not at all. Again, I've always lived on the edge. I've always been a little controversial because I believe in what I believe in, and I'm very, very, very instinctive.
I know this is going to sound really old-fashioned. Do you ever get a little embarrassed? Do you ever think, gee, I don't know that I want to do that?
It crosses my mind only for my future children and maybe my future husband, whoever, because that's a little hard to,
Right.
Mom, Dad, Billy said that Mom posed naked in a magazine. Well, go ask your mom about that, okay? Just go ask her, she's in the kitchen.
Do you care what people think, really?
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 No. I could care less.
Which brings us to Kim's latest movie, The Marrying Man, and by far the nastiest controversy of her career. For weeks now, Hollywood has been buzzing with stories that Kim and co-star Alec Baldwin were two prima donnas out of control, who turned their movie set into a small battlefield.
Let's do it, and let's fall in love.
It looked at the start like a sure hit, a Disney movie, a Neil Simon script, and two co-stars who met on the set and fell in love.
I can't believe you did. What the hell are you doing?
But it all fell apart, with horror stories coming out about Basinger and Baldwin throwing tantrums and wasting millions of Disney dollars with outrageous behavior.
I dare you.
We started getting calls from members of the crew saying the stars of The Marrying Man, Kim Basinger and Alec Baldwin, had gone to war against the studio and were really bringing the movie to its knees.
What they're saying in Hollywood is that you and Alec Baldwin were two out-of-control prima donnas.
That's a total lie. That's a total, absolutely total lie. I don't even know what that means.
All right.
I'll tell
you one of the things that it means. They say that you, personally, were late so often that Disney finally hired somebody just to keep track of all the thousands and thousands of dollars you were costing them?
That's totally not true either.
What's the truth?
It's a cheap studio. They do everything cheap. Before every singing number that we did, I would be presented with another lawsuit from Disney. Yes, a letter that would come right before an actress is putting on her makeup in the morning. She would get another letter from Disney.
One time the studio went through the roof was when Basinger asked to go to Brazil in the middle of production, according to one published report, to consult her psychic. Basinger says not true. It was actually a business meeting that Disney knew about. In any case, she acknowledges it was an unhappy movie set.
Disney, they hire directors, producers, all kinds of people that they squish down and control. Little people. I mean, this director that we had for The Marrying Man had never done anything except one animated little short for them called The Brave Toaster. He had directed a toaster.
You know, you guys are making millions of dollars. You're living in these fancy lives. It's real hard for the average person to feel real sorry for you.
I would have rather quit this film, just stopped. We needed to stop in the beginning. We really did.
You know, Disney may well be the most powerful studio in this town. Aren't you afraid about saying these things about it?
I'm not really saying anything that isn't true.
Neither Disney executives nor the movie's director would speak with prime time. And so far, the movie has done poorly at the box office. But this story does have a happy ending, at least for Basinger. She and her co-star are still what Hollywood calls an item.
I'm going to get kicked if I don't ask you about Alec Baldwin.
What do you want to know?
Are you nuts about each other?
We nuts about each other. That's funny.
That's funny? Yes?
He's a very, 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 very surprising guy. Yeah, I think he's something else.
You're nuts about him?
Yep.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Is he nuts about you?
I hope so. Yeah.
So something good came out of The Marrying Man, huh?
Oh, that's what it's all about. See, everything's timing. There was a reason for The Marrying Man, and I guess that was it.